All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into something that's been making some waves online, the Canik MC9L and LS pistols.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of buzz, and we're going to try to figure out if they're worth all the hype.
Cool.
We've got a bunch of sources lined up. We've got some Reddit threads from our Canik, some YouTube reviews
Nice.
from the Gatman and Suits.
Yeah, those guys are great.
And even Honest Outlaw chimed in on this one.
Oh, cool.
Plus an article from guns.com, so we've got plenty to dig into.
Sounds like a good mix.
Yeah, should be fun. So before we get into the L and the LS specifically,
Okay.
I noticed one thing that kind of stood out to me.
What's that?
It seems like everyone's pretty much in agreement that Canik in general is making some really quality firearms.
Yeah, I've been impressed with what I've seen so far.
Yeah, me too, especially for the price point.
Right, you really get a lot for your money.
Exactly. It's like they're punching way above their weight class.
They're definitely giving the big names a run for their money.
No kidding. So with that in mind, let's get down to business. What exactly is different about these new models compared to the original MC9?
Okay, well, the two most obvious changes are the grip and the barrel length.
Okay, so let's start with the grip. What's going on there?
Both the L and the LS have a longer grip than the original,
Okay.
and that lets them use a 17-round magazine.
Okay, so more capacity.
Right, and this also addresses one of the common complaints about the original MC9,
Which was?
that the grip was a little too small for some people,
I can see that.
especially for shooters with larger hands.
Right. You don't want your pinky hanging off the bottom.
Exactly, so the longer grip should make it more comfortable for a wider range of shooters.
Okay, that makes sense, but does it actually affect how the gun shoots?
Absolutely. A longer grip gives you more leverage, which helps to control recoil.
Ah, okay, so you're less likely to get that snappy feeling.
Exactly. You're able to keep the gun more stable as you're firing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about comfort, then it actually improves the shooting experience.
Right, and the Gatman actually mentioned this in his review.
Oh, yeah? What'd he say?
He said the longer grip helped him drive the gun a little bit tighter,
I like that.
and that he was able to get back on target faster.
Okay, so better control equals faster follow-up shot.
Exactly.
Now, I did see some help that's on Reddit where people weren't so thrilled about the longer grip. They were worried it might make the gun harder to conceal.
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
What do you think about that?
Well, if you're all about deep concealment and that's your top priority,
Okay.
then yeah, the original MC9 might still be the better choice.
I guess it makes sense that the smaller gun would be easier to hide.
Right, but it's not quite as simple as longer grip equals harder to conceal.
Oh, really? How so?
Some people were actually arguing that the longer grip could actually improve concealment
Now, that's interesting.
because of something called the Keeling effect.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
Basically, it means that the longer grip can help the gun to sit more flush against your body.
Ah, I see.
So it's less likely to print or create a bulge under your clothing.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it really depends on your body type and how you carry the gun.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works best for you.
Okay, fair enough. So let's move on to the barrel length. You mentioned that was different too, right?
Yes, the MC9L has the same barrel length as the original MC9,
Which is?
3.18 inches,
Okay.
but the MC9LS has a longer barrel, 3.64 inches.
So almost a full inch longer.
Yeah, and that brings us back to the whole concealability versus performance debate.
Okay, so how does barrel length factor into that?
Well, generally speaking, a longer barrel gives you a couple of advantages.
Okay, like what?
First, it can give you a slightly higher bullet velocity.
Okay, so the bullet travels faster.
Right, and that can be helpful at longer distances.
Makes sense.
And second, a longer barrel gives you a longer sight radius.
What's that?
It's the distance between your front sight and your rear sight.
Okay.
And the farther apart those sights are, the easier it is to line them up accurately.
Ah, I see. So a longer sight radius means it's easier to aim?
Exactly, especially for less experienced shooters.
Okay, that makes sense. But I'm guessing a longer barrel also means a bigger gun overall, right?
That's the trade-off. Yeah, the Gatman mentioned that the longer barrel on the LS might be less comfortable for appendix carry.
Oh, yeah? Why is that?
He said it could potentially poke or jab you in the wrong spot.
Ouch. Yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
So again, it comes down to personal preference and how you plan to carry the gun.
Right. If concealability is your top concern, then that extra barrel length might be a drawback.
Right.
But if you're more focused on performance, then it could be an advantage.
Exactly.
Okay, so it seems like there's a lot to consider when it comes to the barrel length.
Definitely. It's all about finding the right balance for your needs.
Okay, cool. Now let's talk about something that I know a lot of people are excited about.
What's that?
Magazine compatibility.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
So what's the deal with the magazines on these new MC9s?
The cool thing is that the L and the LS can actually use standard Canik full-size magazines.
Wait, really?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Which means you can have the same magazines for your compact carry gun and your full-size range gun.
I like that. That's a lot of versatility.
Right, Suchiro was raving about this feature in his review.
Yeah, he seemed pretty excited about it.
He loved the idea of having this interchangeable system across different Canik models.
I can definitely see the appeal.
But there is one little caveat that the Gatman pointed out.
Okay, what's that?
The 15-round magazines don't fit in the LS frame.
Oh, interesting. So there are some limitations depending on the model.
Right, but still pretty cool overall.
Yeah, definitely a nice touch. And speaking of the Gatman, he also highlighted something else that I thought was really cool.
What's that?
He called it the 4 guns in 1 concept.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Basically, because the MC9L uses the original MC9 slide, you can actually swap slides between the original MC9 and the MC9LS.
That's right.
So you can mix and match to create different configurations.
Yeah, you can have a short slide on a long frame or a long slide on a short frame.
That's pretty awesome. It's like having a modular system for your concealed carry.
It is, and it really speaks to Canik's understanding of their customers.
What do you mean?
They know that a lot of gun owners like to tinker and customize their firearms.
Yeah, that's true.
And this interchangeability really opens up a lot of possibilities.
It's like they're giving you the tools to build your perfect gun.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the grip, the barrel, the magazines.
Right.
Now let's talk about something that I know Canik is famous for, the trigger.
Ah, yes, the Canik trigger.
They've really built a reputation for having some of the best triggers in the business.
Especially at their price point.
Right? It's almost unheard of to get a trigger this good on a gun that's this affordable.
And it seems like the MC9L and LS are no exception.
Okay, good to know.
Honest Outlaw actually mentioned this in his review.
Oh, what did he say?
He said that the MC9 series is very accurate because of the trigger and the barrel.
So it's not just the trigger, it's the combination of the trigger and the barrel working together.
Right. They complement each other.
That makes sense. But a good trigger isn't much use if the gun is recoiling like crazy, right?
That's true. And the original MC9 did have a bit of a reputation for being snappy.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But it seems like the longer grip and the longer barrel on the L and LS are doing a good job of taming that recoil.
So they're more pleasant to shoot.
That's what the reviews are saying.
Okay, that's good to hear. What did Honest Outlaw say about it?
He specifically mentioned that the LS was way less snappy than the original 3-inch model.
So a noticeable improvement.
Definitely.
Okay. And I'm guessing that smoother recoil also contributes to better accuracy.
Absolutely. It's easier to control the gun and get back on target quickly.
Now, of course, we can't talk about modern pistols without mentioning optics readiness.
True. It's practically a must-have feature these days.
So what's the story with the MC9L and LS?
They're both optics ready.
Okay, awesome. And I understand there's even an option to buy them with an optic already installed.
That's right. You can get them with the Canik M9 Red Dot sight.
Oh, cool. So you don't even have to shop around for a separate optic.
Nope. It comes ready to go right out of the box.
That's really convenient, especially for people who are new to using red dot sight.
Exactly. It takes all the guesswork out of it.
What did Honest Outlaw think of the included optic?
He seemed to like it. He said it held zero well and was easy to use.
Okay, so sounds like a decent optic.
Yeah, especially for the price.
Right, because we got to talk about the price.
Ah, yes, the Canik magic.
They're known for offering incredible value for the money.
Right. They always seem to find a way to pack in the features without breaking the bank.
So what are we looking at price-wise for the MC9L and LS?
The MSRP for the base models is $499.
Wow, that's seriously impressive.
And for the models with the included optic, it's $549.
That's insane. I mean, when you consider all the features we've been talking about,
Right.
it's hard to believe they can offer them at that price.
They're definitely shaking things up in the market.
Yeah, they're making it tough for the competition.
No kidding. It's like they're saying, hey, we can do all that too, but we can do it for less.
I love that attitude. It's definitely resonating with a lot of shooters.
Yeah, they're building a loyal following.
So to sum it all up, what have we learned about the Canik MC9L and LS so far?
Well, it seems like they've taken what people loved about the original MC9
Okay.
and they've made it even better. They've addressed some of the common complaints.
Like the grip size?
Right, and they've added some new features.
It's like the longer barrel and the magazine compatibility.
Exactly, and they've done all of that while still keeping the price incredibly competitive.
It's a pretty impressive package.
Yeah, they're definitely raising the bar.
Now, this brings up an interesting question.
Okay, I'm listening.
So, with all the great things we're hearing about the new models,
Yeah.
does this mean the original MC9 is basically obsolete now?
Well, I wouldn't say obsolete. It really depends on what you're looking for in a concealed carry gun.
Right, different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. If you absolutely need the smallest gun possible,
Okay.
then the original MC9 is still a great option.
Right.
But if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of concealability
Okay.
for a more comfortable grip and a smoother shooting experience,
I see.
then the L and the LS might be a better fit.
So it's all about trade-offs.
Exactly. You have to decide what's most important to you.
Okay, that makes sense. You know, one thing I noticed in the Reddit thread was that a lot of people were comparing the new MC9s to the SIG P365.
Oh yeah, that's a popular comparison.
What do you think about that?
Well, the SIG P365 is definitely a game changer.
Right, it really set a new standard for micro-compacts.
Exactly. And I think it's clear that Canik is drawing some inspiration from the P365. But what's really interesting is that Canik is offering similar features at a much lower price point.
Yeah, that's kind of their thing, isn't it?
It is. They're all about providing value.
But does that lower price mean they're sacrificing quality?
That's a fair question.
Right, you get what you pay for and all that.
But based on what I've seen and what I've read,
Okay,
it doesn't seem like Canik is cutting any corners.
that's good to hear.
They're using quality materials, and their guns have a good reputation for reliability.
Okay, that's reassuring. Now, one thing that some people on Reddit were wondering about was long-term reliability.
Yeah. That's always the question with a new model.
Right, has it really been tested enough?
Exactly. Early reviews are one thing.
Yeah.
But it takes time to see how a gun holds up over thousands of rounds.
So we'll have to wait and see.
Right. Only time will tell how durable these new MC9s really are.
Okay, well, hopefully they live up to the hype.
I'm sure they will. Canik has a pretty good track record so far.
Yeah, they've been making some solid guns lately.
No doubt. They're definitely a brand to watch.
You know, one comment on Reddit that really made me laugh.
Oh, which one?
They called me Thor said something like, I can't wait for Canik to release an MC50 AE double stack.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one. That was funny.
It's like they're just releasing new models left and right.
They're on a roll.
But seriously, though, it's clear that people are really excited about Canik.
Yeah, they've got a lot of fans.
And for good reason, I think.
Right, they're making some really great guns.
Now, amidst all the excitement, I did see one comment that kind of brought me back down to earth a little bit.
Oh, yeah, what was that?
Tiger Dude 33 said something like, if I want a big pistol, I buy a big pistol. If I want a small pistol, I buy a small one.
I see their point.
Right, maybe some of this is just people wanting to buy more guns.
Yeah, there's definitely a collector mentality out there.
And that's fine.
Of course.
But it's good to step back and think about why you're buying a particular gun.
Right. Do you really need it, or do you just want it?
Exactly. Because let's be honest, most of us probably have more guns than we actually need.
Probably true.
But hey, if it brings you joy, then go for it.
Exactly. It's your money.
So maybe these new MC9s aren't for everyone.
Right.
But for those who are looking for a balance between concealability and shootability,
Okay.
they could be a really great option.
Definitely. They fill a niche in the market.
It's like finding the Goldilocks zone of concealed carry.
Not too big, not too small, just right.
Exactly. You know, one Redditor said they were interested in the LS because they kept pinching themselves with the original MC9.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, they said the grip was so small that they would pinch their skin when they were reloading.
That doesn't sound fun.
It doesn't. And it highlights how important ergonomics are.
Definitely. If a gun doesn't feel comfortable in your hand, you're not going to want to shoot it.
And that defeats the whole purpose.
Right.
So it's good to see that Canik is paying attention to these details.
They're listening to their customers.
Now, speaking of practical concerns,
Okay.
one person mentioned that they lived in a state with a handgun roster.
Yes, that can be a problem.
And the LS wasn't approved yet.
So they're out of luck for now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's a good reminder that we have to be aware of the laws in our area.
Right, what's legal in one state might not be legal in another.
Exactly.
So it's always important to do your research.
Definitely. And make sure you're following all the rules.
Now, one thing I appreciated about both the Gatman and Honest Outlaws reviews was that they both emphasized safety.
Yes. It's always good to see that.
It's so important to handle firearms responsibly.
It is. It's not something to take lightly.
Right, safety should always be the top priority.
No doubt.
Now, even with all the positive feedback,
Okay.
there were a couple of comments that hinted at some potential concerns.
Like what?
One person said something like, I hope these new MC9s actually shoot bullets this time.
Oh, yikes.
It sounds like they might have had some issues with earlier Canik models.
Could be.
Hopefully those issues have been resolved.
Yeah, I would hope so.
But it's always good to be aware of potential problems.
Right. It's part of being an informed consumer.
And that's why these online discussions are so valuable.
Definitely. You can learn a lot from other people's experiences.
It's like a collective knowledge base.
Exactly.
Now, the Guns.com article did a nice job of summarizing the specs of the MC9L and LS.
They did, and they really highlighted that $499 MSRP.
Which is just incredible.
It is, especially when you consider everything you get for that price.
The features, the accessories, it's a lot of gun for the money.
Canik is really raising the bar for value.
Yeah, they're making other manufacturers look bad.
In a good way, though.
Right, competition is good for the consumer.
Absolutely. It forces everyone to step up their game.
You know, one comment that really got me thinking was about aftermarket support.
Oh, interesting. What did they say?
They were hoping that the popularity of these new MC9s would lead to more aftermarket options.
That makes sense.
Because the more people who own a particular gun,
Okay.
the more likely it is that companies will make accessories for it.
Right. Holsters, sights, grips, all that stuff.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win for Canik owners.
Yeah, the more popular the gun, the more options they'll have.
It's a self-perpetuating cycle.
And, speaking of customization,
What about...
one person had this really cool idea.
I'm intrigued.
They wanted to put the MC9LS slide on the original MC9 frame.
Wow, that's creative.
Right, they were talking about creating the ultimate pocket rocket.
The best of both molds.
Exactly. Maximum concealability with the shootability of the longer slide.
I wonder if it would actually work.
I don't know, but it's fun to think about.
It is. It shows how passionate people are about these guns.
Yeah, they're really invested in finding ways to make them even better.
That's what's so great about the gun community.
Right, there's this constant drive to innovate and improve.
Always pushing the boundaries.
Now, one thing that we haven't really addressed directly is the fact that Canik is a Turkish company.
Oh, right.
And I know that some people have reservations about buying guns that aren't made in America.
Yeah, I understand that.
There's a certain patriotism that comes with supporting American businesses.
Definitely.
But I think what Canik is doing is really interesting.
How so?
They're proving that you can get high-quality firearms from outside the U.S.
And at a very competitive price.
Exactly. They're challenging the status quo.
They're definitely shaking things up.
And I think that's a good thing.
Competition is always...
It forces everyone to raise their standards.
And ultimately, the consumer benefits.
Right, we get better guns at better prices.
So kudos to Canik for pushing the envelope.
Now, let's talk about the optic that comes with some of the MC9L and LS models.
Okay, the Canik MO1.
Right?
What about it?
Honest Outlaws seem to like it.
Yeah, he said it held zero well.
And Suchir really went into detail about its features.
He did. He was impressed with its durability and battery life.
And he liked that you could co-witness the iron sights.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
So it sounds like a solid optic.
It does, especially for the price.
Right, because when you factor in the cost of the optic,
Okay.
those bundled packages are an even better deal.
Yeah, they're a steal.
Canik is really making it hard to say no.
They are. They're offering a lot of bang for your buck.
So as we're wrapping up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious to hear your overall thoughts on the MC9L and LS.
I have to say I'm impressed.
Really?
It seems like Canik has really listened to the feedback.
Okay.
And they've addressed a lot of the concerns that people had with the original MC9.
Like the grip size.
Right. And they've added some great new features.
Like the longer barrel and the magazine compatibility.
Exactly. And they've done all of that without raising the price significantly.
So you're giving them a thumbs up?
I am. I think they're a great option for anyone looking for a quality concealed carry pistol.
That's great to hear. Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I have one more question that I want to leave you with.
I'm all ears.
We've talked about all the features and what people are saying.
Right.
But I think there's a bigger question here.
What's that?
What do these new Caniks tell us about the future of concealed carry?
Oh, that's interesting.
It seems like we're seeing a trend towards smaller guns that can still hold a lot of rounds.
Yeah, micro compacts and subcompacts are definitely hot right now.
It's like people want the best of both worlds.
They want a gun that's easy to hide but can still put up a fight if they need it.
Exactly. And they want features like optics readiness.
Right, and interchangeable parts.
They want to be able to customize their guns to fit their needs.
And they don't want to break the bank.
Which is where Canik comes in.
Yeah, they're really shaking things up with their pricing.
It's like they're making high-end features more affordable.
They're definitely democratizing the market.
And I think that's a good thing.
It is. It means more people can have access to quality firearms.
Now, remember that Redditors who wanted to make that Franken den?
Oh, yeah, with the MC9LS slide on the original MC9 frame?
What if Canik actually took that idea and ran with it?
What do you mean?
What if they made a truly modular system?
Where you could swap out different parts?
Exactly. You could choose your grip size, your barrel length, even your caliber.
Wow, that would be amazing.
It would be like building your own custom pistol.
And knowing Canik, they might actually do it.
I wouldn't put it past them. They're always innovating.
Yeah, they're not afraid to try new things.
Okay, well, maybe we'll see that modular Canik in the future.
Fingers crossed.
But for now, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
We covered all the ground today.
We have. We talked about the features, the reviews, the pros and cons.
Hopefully we've given you a good understanding of the Canik MC9L and LS.
If you're thinking about buying one of these guns,
Okay.
do your research.
Right. Read the reviews, watch the videos.
And most importantly, handle the gun yourself.
Yeah, see how it feels in your hand.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about finding the right gun for you.
Exactly. And remember, safety first. Always.
No doubt. Always practice safe gun handling.
Well said. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening.
Until next time, stay safe and happy shooting.